On the eve of the attacks on Ukraine, international media at the time scrambled to get out of the strategic port city of Mariupol. Journalist Mstislav Chernov and his crew with the Associated Press, they chose to stay.
This is the first time I saw the Russian sign of war. The hospital is surrounded. Dozens of doctors, hundreds of patients, and us.
For the next 20 days, they filmed the attacks and the siege of the city, capturing graphic images of the fighting and the victims, including many civilians. Now, a year later, Chernov has turned the footage into a new documentary called 20 Days in Mariupol, playing this weekend at Toronto's Hot Docs Festival. And he joins me now in studio. Good to have you in studio with me. Why did you choose to stay? Why did you and your crew choose to stay?
We are part of the community. We are Ukrainians and we are journalists, and we just felt that it was our duty to stay and to keep reporting as long as it was possible. There was just running away was not an option. Doctors stayed and police stayed and firefighters stayed, and they did what they did for as long as they could. So did we.
You captured the footage. You were shooting constantly. But it's one thing to shoot the footage. It's another thing to get that footage out to the world. How complicated was that?
Yes, getting out is important. Getting out the footage is important not only because the world needs to see what's going on now, but getting out the original footage with the timestamps, with all the data, was important just to have it for further, probably, investigations of the possible war crimes. And that was very hard because we need to, when we were trying to break out of a siege, we had to, and we were lucky enough to go through 15 Russian checkpoints unnoticed, while our names were already published by Russian media as the names of the media terrorists. So it was really crucial for us to just take that images out to ensure that they are out. But that was a biggest danger and challenge. And the proof of what could happen is another filmmaker, Mantas Kvedaravičius, which got killed by Russians while he was trying to leave Mariupol. So it could happen to us too.
Yeah. So one of the horrific events that you captured was the bombing of that maternity hospital. You were able to get some of that footage out to your editors. How did that change the international opinion of what was happening on the inside?
In the beginning, I didn't know, and probably I was still, it's kind of hard to understand the scale of change, but what I know for certain is that just by looking at how much propaganda attacked this event, this footage, you can kind of already understand how important it was. And after this, we've seen a large spike of the support in international aid to Ukraine, to Ukrainian civilians, and also negotiations for green corridors have started. And we have received later on, much later on, we received a letter from a mayor's office in exile that this footage have actually helped to save lives, to open the green corridor and to save lives.
On the flip side of that, I want to ask you about this footage when it came to the Russian media, because they picked up this footage, but they spun it and they were telling Russians that this was fake news. They claimed that the victims were actors. When did you first learn about that, and how did you react to that?
This is not the first time we meet with face-to-face with the propaganda. It happened to me in 2014 when I filmed. I was one of the first journalists who filmed how Russia shot down the MH17 plane over Ukraine. And back then, propaganda was very strong. The narratives, the conflicting narratives, the confusion was very strong. So what happened this time was very similar, and this is what we expected. But our job is not to react on anything that propaganda says. You know, as international journalists, we just have to keep filming, and we have to follow up with the stories. And we found women who were victims of this airstrike. We found that, unfortunately, Irina, who was so on the gurney, being carried through the rubble, has died with her child. And all this we did not because Russia said something that they were actors. All this we did because it was important to keep showing what happened to those people.
And that is the importance of this film that is going to be shown at the Hot Docs. It's called 20 Days in Mariupol. It premieres at the Hot Docs Film Festival in Toronto. That's happening tomorrow, Saturday, April 29th. It's such important work that you and your crew do. Thank you for coming here to talk about it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.